All right, welcome back to Mondays Down South. You're obviously listening to myself, E. Maroney, and Mr. Saikun and Nini here. Thank you guys, first of all, for covering for me last week, and obviously appreciate to Mick Dolan out there on the West Coast holding it together. Well, not quite West Coast, but, I guess he's under mountain time, but, you win some, you lose some. So anyways, we have a really interesting topic for you guys today because unlike some of our more recent podcasts where we do a lot of recap, we'll go into a lot of analysis. We'll do some of that for like the later part of the segment. But one thing we really wanted to focus on was kind of switch it up, like a breath of fresh air. And we tasked all three of us to find 3 current NFL players and compare them to alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverages. So as weird as that sounds, bear with us. I feel like this is going to get very interesting very quickly, but we essentially had to pick 3 NFL players and compare them to just 3 beverages across the board. I'm really curious to see what you guys have. I've drawn up a couple of interesting ones myself. But maybe before we get into this, any last second remarks before diving into the topic, boys?
Nah, I'm excited about this one. This should be entertaining, and it made me think quite a bit, but I tried not to overthink it. So that's how I'll preface this.
Yeah. Nothing for me, but let us know in the comments below if you like this type of content, similar to the the stocks to quarterbacks episode we did a little while back. Those types of stuff. So let us know.
Yeah, we try to stay creative with it, right? I think it's always fun. We'll do like once a month, once a quarter, we'll do something like this, and it'll be completely absurd. That's exactly how the podcast should run when it comes to these topics. So without further ado, here. I know we all got our beers out here, or maybe non-alcoholic beverages. I'm not quite sure what's in size water bottle here.
I got a drink, not to be named later. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're doing a drinks episode, so I'd rather leave people guessing.
Well, hey, Sai, how about you kick us off here? I'm curious to hear your first one. Without further ado, tell the audience.
Okay, well, I don't want to steal your thunder, guys. If you're going to bring this guy up, I was kind of concerned that all 3 of us would bring him up, but I don't care. You're letting me go first, so I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to bring up Baker Mayfield first, and I got a good comparison for him. So back in college, we drank a lot of beer, SEC school. We tailgate every week. And, as a college student, you can't be particular about what kind of beer you drink, right? But there's something about one specific beer that always brought out the arrogance in people, brought out, your arrogant kind of male on a game day, but it was a very trash beer that just wasn't good at all. And to this day, I compare it to, for lack of better terms, piss, because that's how bad I think it is. And with that being said, I'm going to compare Baker Mayfield to Busch Light, because Busch Light is my least favorite beer of all time. It's got that arrogant, frat boy vibe to it. And the best part about it is it's cheap, it's bad, I will never drink it again, and I don't ever want to see it or be anywhere near it, and that's how I feel about Baker Mayfield at this point, because I have nothing but negative things to say about him as an NFL player and as, honestly, a guy who comes out there, acting all cocky week after week after week, even when he has been nothing but awful for the last couple of seasons. So I'm starting off on a very negative note. Maybe I should apologize for that, but honestly, every week I watch him, and I'm like, you have Christian McCaffrey, you have DJ Moore, you have Robbie Anderson. Prior years, you had Odell Beckham Jr., you had Nick Chubb, you had Kareem Hunt. You had every opportunity to shine, and all you've done is be Busch League. So with that being said, I'm comparing him to Busch Light. I'm going to kick it over to whoever wants to go next.
I'm going to challenge that one. I'm a Busch stan. That's my go-to awful beer, of the PBRs, the Natty Lights. Plus, the other challenge is Busch is cheap, but I don't think Baker's cheap. I haven't looked at his contract lately, but I'm having to guess they're paying him $20 million plus to be probably the worst quarterback in the NFL. So I'm pro Busch here.
Isn't that his 5th-year option, though? he's not going to get a big deal next year. He's
Exactly.
crippling. He's literally crippling his future success in the NFL. There's no way he gets a deal. I mean, this is going to be the most he ever makes.
Also,
The
Evan,
best-
I apologize that your go-to cheap beer is Busch Light. I feel for you, brother.
Hey, everyone, it's got a sweet spot in my heart. But yeah, the funniest thing I saw on Baker over the weekend is the top headline in ESPN at one point was like Sam Darnold not close to returning, which I thought was hilarious because it was like the day after that last Panthers game. I was like, wow, we're talking about Sam Darnold already. But
And let me preface this too. Actually, I am not a Carolina Panthers fan. And I don't appreciate the continuous remarks, despite the colored shirt I'm wearing. I know I'm not doing myself any favors or solids here, but I'm not a Carolina Panthers fan. Just because I live in the area, I'm still a diehard Falcons fan. Let's just get that shit.
Evan, can we jump into some stats here to
Yeah, I was just going to say, I got some stats.
I love this. We got some statistics. So far, we've had 4 weeks of the NFL season. 2 of them, by the way, was in the same game time as when the Falcons were playing. On 2 of those 4 weeks, Zach has tortured himself by going to the Carolina Panthers stadium and watching his team continuously lose throughout the course of time. Also, another stat that they're out there is I'd like to go back on old podcast recording, Evan, and maybe we can do some data analysis here. But how many times does Zach use the term "we" when referencing the Carolina Panthers? Because I think it's over under at least 10. So there's 2 great statistics to start. Ev, I'll let you contribute anything else you have.
Yeah, what I'll add is I also think, I mean, how many home games have the Panthers even had? So he very well might be 2 for 2, which, you know, does he have season tickets? We don't know. The other thing I'll throw out there is, so Zach in the 4 games this season has picked the Panthers to win 3 times. I was kind of hoping it was 4 for 4. And then the other is I think he has a lot of money invested in the gambling markets on the Panthers this year. So that's
amount. I did not realize you guys would come so prepared for that rebuttal. But
all right, yeah, I'll jump into mine here. So my first one is going to be like a non-alcoholic beer. Let's say an O'Doul's non-alcoholic beer, and I'm going to compare it to Kirk Cousins. So Kirk Cousins, the sneaky part about these non-alcoholic beers is they're like basically the same price as, just your normal average beer. So Kirk Cousins, he's a guy that, you drink the thing, you're like, you know what, I expect this not to hurt too bad. I'm trying to have a chill night. I don't want to be on this roller coaster ride. I just want a decent, solid performance and enjoy my drink. And then you have this non-alcoholic drink. You're like, wow, this is, it tastes similar. It's fine, but it's like, what fun is this? I'm not having any fun on this. What's the point? And then you look at the price and you're like, wait, I paid basically the same thing for something that, just adds no value to me. And, that's Kirk Cousins for me. He's costs a lot of money. He's not terrible. He's not going to, make you feel bad in the morning, all that kind of stuff. But he's just kind of there. And you leave that experience feeling very unfulfilled about your night. So there's my comparison.
That's fair. I'll even stay in the quarterback department too. My number 1 was Kyler Murray, actually. I watched him play last week in Charlotte, and he started off just so terrible. And what was really interesting actually was seeing him communicate with his offensive coordinator and his head coach when the cameras were not rolling during TV timeouts. He looked so frustrated the entire time, mainly due to like schematic changes. So they would get substitutes in late. And I forget to realize this sometimes, but you also have to allow the defense to substitute based on the new look, right? So what was happening was as Cliff Kingsbury was substituting his new package in way too late, the ref was literally standing over the ball as the play clock's winding down, letting the defense substitute players in. And then it led to like at least 2 delay of games and 2 premature timeout calls in like the early part of the first or third quarter. He was enraged and he was acting like a toddler. He runs like a toddler, like he stole something from the cookie jar from mom and dad. So Kyler is a Capri Sun, because I remember when I was younger, I was drinking Capri Suns left and right, playing flashlight tag, playing football with the boys, and that was my drink of choice. That was my hydrating choice that I had at the time because, couldn't afford Gatorade considering I had $2 in my bank account. So Kyler kind of acts like a toddler. He plays like a toddler. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's an unbelievable scrambler, and he was one of the most interesting players I've ever seen play in person because he's literally that fast. But, hey, you win some, you lose some. So Kyler, Capri Sun, Cy, what's your next one?
This is amazing, Zach, because you kind of teed me up perfectly. Have you guys ever heard of like any of those like hangover solutions? Those like where people are like, hey, you can drink this prior to or after after you drink, and after the fact, you're gonna feel better and you're not gonna be hungover, right? Like that's. I'm not going to pick a brand, but I'm just going to say that kind of concoction. That is the drink I am picking for the next person I'm picking. But it's not a player. It's the coach of Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, right? The reason I compare him to that is Cliff Kingsbury, as fake as those drinks are, as much of a placebo as they are, and as much as people want to believe in something that makes absolutely no sense scientifically or statistically speaking, Cliff Kingsbury is the perfect comparison of that for me, because we're taking a guy, I promised I'd be more positive, but I'm sorry, I'm going negative again.
0 for 2.
We're picking another guy who did absolutely nothing in college, was considered a quarterback whisperer because he was the QB's coach of Texas Tech when Patrick Mahomes was there. But his college football career, he had a losing record. He comes to the NFL, and one thing you'll notice is whether the Cardinals win or lose, if you watch a Cardinals game, it by no means comes down to whether they followed the game plan or not, because nobody cares what Cliff Kingsbury says. What happens is every week he calls, I don't even know if he calls plays, but he calls plays, and the collar goes out there and he goes, all right, here's the play, guys. Hot hike, and then he drops back 5 steps. He looks around and he says, all right, now I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. Excuse my language. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and not listen to my coach and just, try to make magic happen. And Cliff is just useless. So whether the Cardinals win or lose, it's just a placebo. Cliff Kingsbury is just on the sideline, and he does nothing, in my opinion. And I know that's really rude of me as a guy who's just sitting on the sideline watching a game, but he is the perfect example of a placebo, like your fake hangover cure that does absolutely nothing to contribute to your night out, or in this case, your Sundays or Thursdays or Mondays or whatever night the Cardinals are playing terrible football and barely beating the Carolina Panthers. So that's my next take. I'm sorry, I'm being very negative right now. I just have a lot of hostility towards coaches nowadays.
You telling me liquid IV doesn't work, side?
I'm challenging that as well.
I'm not talking about actual liquid IV. I'm talking about like you guys haven't used it, but I have like a couple friends that have their like, their perspectives about hangover drinks and hangover pills, but that's not liquid IV. That's literally just like caffeine pills that have like random stuff in it. Like that's what I'm talking about. This is completely different. I'm not talking about going in to get IV pump.
Cy is deep in the weeds on hangover recovery supplements that I can't even begin to fathom. But if true, I like it. But all right, so all mine are quarterbacks. I realize it's not the very most creative situation, but hey, I'm running it with the quarterback trend. My next one, I'm gonna go to something a little harder. I started out with non-alcoholic. I'm gonna go to the triple IPA here, right? You see it on the menu once in a while, and you're like, oh, I'm starting my night. I could use something that's like 12% alcohol, and is just gonna really get my night going. And then a couple drinks in, and you're like, wow, this is a really bad idea. I'm having a wild night here. That's Carson Wentz for me. Just the ultimate roller coaster. It seems like a good idea when you see it on paper. You're going to get your night started with a bang, and then, 3 drinks into the night, and you're bouncing off the walls, and you're like, wait, how did this happen? How did we get here? It's like, oh, yeah, I ordered a 12% triple IPA, at 6 o'clock with dinner, and now, things are just unhinged. So that's the Carson Wentz experience, the ultimate roller coaster, brought to you by a nice triple IPA.
Definitely unhinged is the word I would use to describe Carson Wentz. But yes, continue, Zach.
That's a great one. I like that. So if we're talking about QBs and offensive schemers and whatnot, I'll actually switch it over to the defensive side. Because I was watching the game last night, the Rams and 49ers, and once again that safety on the 49ers, it's Talanoa Hufanga, is unbelievable. I mean, Hufanga ran back a pick six. Matt Stafford late in the game sealed the deal in Levi Stadium in San Francisco. But on top of that, he's also recorded like over 10 tackles in multiple games. He's a ball hawk all over the field and is one of the sole reasons why the San Francisco 49ers have a top 3 defense in the NFL. So huge shout out to him. When I was watching him play, though, he's literally the Energizer Bunny. Not only is he all over the field making plays, it just reminds me of what I feel like I turn into when I drink a Celsius drink. It's one of those new like energy drinks that's awesome. I take them right before I work out, and I feel insanely better the moment I do that. I didn't realize, though, you have to be careful with these Celsius drinks because they're apparently like equivalent to 5 coffees of caffeine. So
that is
I
not
don't
true.
recommend it. This is not a plug, but by any means, hey, when you drink one of those bad boys, you should definitely work out because you will have more energy than anyone I've ever seen. So Hufunga, Celsius, Sai, who's your number 3?
I realize we probably should have put a disclaimer out about our lack of scientific knowledge prior to discussing drinks.
5 cups of coffee.
To you, a Celsius does not equate to 5 cups of coffee, Zach.
It's
He
2.
definitely just made that up as he went on. I'm pretty sure it's like 2 cups at most.
It's 2. It's 2 cups.
The unfortunate part about this is Zach keeps stealing my stuff. Because, again, he brought up a game that I wanted to talk about, and he actually used the drink that I was going to use. So I'm going to do a quick switch up, and I'm going to go with a pre-workout. It's going to be what I'm going to be using as my drink because it's similar to a Celsius, but it's not quite the exact same thing. So think a solid pre-workout that gives you that pump and has you in the gym putting up those extra reps and shocking the world. Granted, I wanted to go Celsius for this player because Celsius is a newer kind of theme. It's something that has popped off maybe in the last couple of years that everybody loves and everybody understands is something that is to be enjoyed, and that is why I wanted to use the Celsius, but you can call it whatever you want. I'm going with Deebo Samuel because I last night what he did to Jalen Ramsey, even on it's amazing because it's been 2 years in a row, and I mean I'm a Gamecock, I'm biased, but I've been saying since college he is an Energizer Bunny. You want to talk about an Energizer Bunny? He's been on basically like an awful roster for the majority of his career outside of, maybe 1 or 2 other players that were potential playmakers. And he has found a way to dominate individually at a position from a multitude of ways and is just basically unguardable and can just completely change the course of a game. Yesterday, slant, 57-yard touchdown, that was the difference in the game. And that really is what Deebo has been for his entire career. And not to mention, he was a 3-star, barely a 3-star when he went to South Carolina, and now he is arguably one of the best, not arguably, he is one of the best receivers and arguably top 3 receiver in the NFL, in my opinion, in the sense of the fact that he's Swiss Army knife. So I'm going with Deebo Samuel for my energy drink.
I love it. No challenges is that one. I'll pivot over to my third one, my holiday drink, as requested by Zach here. You got to go. We just jumped into October, so it's the fall here. We got to go with the pumpkin spice latte, of course. Holiday season, just the super popular drink. A little overrated in my opinion. Like it's a lot of pomp and circumstance. You got a lot of extra, sugar. You probably some whipped cream on there. So my quarterback I comped into, it's going to be Zach Wilson. So Zach Wilson, who, I'm not anti-Zach Wilson. I like Zach Wilson just like I like a pumpkin spice latte, but I think it's a lot more frill than it is substance so far in his career. A lot of talent, can do a lot of crazy things on the field, a lot of creative passes, almost like Mahomes, but what has he actually done so far in his career that makes me think he's going to be a legit NFL quarterback? Similar to the pumpkin spice latte. I don't know how the pumpkin spice latte can survive year-round. It's only good in these couple of months and gets very popular, but it doesn't have that foundation to sustain it through a whole year. And the ladies love it, right? And Zach's got that going for him, too. So I won't say which type of ladies, but...
All right, so for this final one here, I think I'm going to anger Evan with this one, as well as a lot of the Commander fans that listen to this, but I wanted to bring up Terry McLaurin. Because Terry McLaurin just got his big deal, 3 years, $71 million, which literally mirrors who I mentioned earlier, Deebo Samuels, and then also DK Metcalf. So when you get paid like someone like that, right, you should be on that same tier. Terry, to me, here's the facts, right? 2 receptions for 15 yards last week, got completely shut down by Trayvon Diggs, completely shut down. They even tried, I think he had like 7 or 8 targets and 2 deep balls, and Diggs was there like stride for stride with coverage. So I look at a guy like that who's getting paid over $20 million a year. And at this point, the excuses have been for McLaurin, oh, he's never played with a really good quarterback. But Wentz throws one of the best deep balls in the game. And he is undisputably the best quarterback that has been in Washington the last 8 years. So that excuse doesn't land no more. And I don't mean to be super critical of McLaurin, but the drink I would compare him to is back in college when you're trying to impress people that came around to the fraternity house and stuff like that, but you couldn't afford a Belvedere bottle. You would pour Burnett's in the Belvedere bottle, and you would just continue to recycle that. That is Terry McLaurin to me. Just totally not superseding his value. He's not worth the contract. And he's even getting outplayed statistically by his own 2 receivers on that team, and Curtis Samuels, and then Dotson, the rookie, was 4 touchdowns. So McLaurin is just a continuous disappointment. Burnett in the Belvedere bottle. Sorry,
I think Zach's giving out some trade secrets of his alma mater on his wall over there. You know, you go to Virginia Tech fraternity parties and you're offered fancy tequila fancy vodka. Now you know. So shout out to Zach for putting that out there. He's about to get sued by his fellow fraternity mates. But actually, that reminded me. I forgot to make. Can I make a quick honorable mention because I forgot my holiday drink and I feel bad about that. I wanted to compare Patrick Mahomes to a peppermint mocha. Peppermint mocha is my go-to holiday drink of the season. A little spicy, a little sweet. Got a little bit of everything you want, and you always feel good after. And that's Patrick Mahomes, man. What he did against the Bucs on Sunday night, and the way he did it was just – it was with that flair that you like to see. That end zone play where he did his little, dance left, right, run to the right, do a little spin move, and then flick forward for a touchdown. I'm like, this guy's literally playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers against one of the best defenses in the NFL. And you could tell he took that Super Bowl personally. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. I mean, year in, year out, doesn't matter who his receivers are. That's the sign of a great quarterback. Doesn't matter who you got out there. You're going to go out there and deliver. And that's what Mahomes does. So shout out Patrick Mahomes.
Love it. And yeah, Zach, I have no problem calling out Terry. In fact, I did myself this weekend with some other buddies. I'll give him another excuse that he missed so much of OTAs to get that contract. That Wentz just has a better rapport with Samuel and Jahan. But he needs to step up regardless. And Diggs shut him down last year too. So a lot of these one-on-one matchups, he's kind of lost. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt the second half of the year, but he definitely needs to set up and earn his buck. But are we good? We're 3 for 3 here. We rolled through it.
Let's roll through to the next segment.